is the second most followed religion in the world. However, Islam is not simply a religion, it's also a lifestyle. Followers of Islam are known as Muslims and represent 21% of the world. That's nearly 1.8 billion people. Less than 10% of Muslims are actually Arab. Those stereotypes and world events lead most people to associate all Muslims with Arabs of the Middle East. Islamic laws dictate a majority of the consumption by Muslims, making items that are strictly halal a part of their everyday lives.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Suzanne Audi, and I'm a food technologist with the Islamic Food and Nutrition Council of America, or IFANCA for short. I'm here today to talk to you about halal and mashbu food. Have you heard of the words halal, mashbu, or haram? Do you also know what they exactly mean? You might know that halal is an Arabic word, which means permitted or allowed. For Muslims, halal food is what they can eat. Do you also know that the opposite of halal is called haram? Haram basically means not allowed or not permitted.
Everything from modest clothing to strict dietary regulations are directed by Islamic law, making Muslims a very large, yet very specific consumer group. With a purchasing power upwards of $170 billion a year and growing 10 to 15% a year, American Muslims in particular are a prime target audience that is quickly learning its power. This is a group that is better educated and wealthier than the general U.S. population.
What we did is a demographic study of the Muslim population all around the world, 232 countries and territories around the world. We looked at how many Muslims live in each today. We looked at how many Muslims there were in each 20 years ago, and we projected forward using the best demographic techniques to try to estimate how many will live in each country in the world 20 years from now.
All the girls from Al-Fateh and boys? Yeah, we need boys too. Back everyone. Around, 95, 96, we were about 150 to 200 people, in one location in Herndon, Virginia. The community has grown to now, 5,000 families. We have 10 locations. 2 of them are at a synagogue and 1 at a church. That just shows the love that the greater community shows in supporting diversity.
What we see happening in the Muslim population in the United States is pretty dramatic growth. In absolute numbers, a more than doubling from about 2.6 million to about 6.2 million. And in percentage terms, roughly a doubling. Just to put that into context, that means that roughly speaking, Muslims by the year 2030 might be about as large in the United States as Episcopalians or Jews are in the U.S. population.
Though it may seem simple enough to target this rapidly growing consumer group, there are many obstacles that companies face when it comes to marketing to Muslims. Mainstream brands tried to avoid marketing to a specific religious group, and especially when it comes to Muslims, their chances of backlash from American Islamophobes are much greater.
The Muslims have to use the media to change the image that the media is projecting right now. We have to get away from other people defining us and start defining ourselves so that then people can see who we are rather than we always playing catch up or we always defending that that's not who we are. We need to create the definition and then let people see us through that lens. We have to do it not as an agenda, but as a responsibility that we have. We need to make sure that whenever we see an image of a Muslim that is not true, and again, I'm not talking about glorifying our image. I think that is also a disservice, because then you're trying to live up to a standard which might not be there. I think we need to make sure that people understand us as humans, as real faults and real talents. That is the image of a Muslim that I would like to portray.
A greater awareness and understanding of Islam and Muslims is on the rise, but there is still a large portion of American population that remains firm in their stereotypes. Even with such great obstacles and a greater chance of failure than success, the odds didn't stop Best Buy from becoming the first major retailer to market to Muslims nationwide in 2009.
For most retailers, the holidays can be the same. Get shoppers in, entice them with special sales and extended hours, sell big, and send happy shoppers home. But at Best Buy electronics stores like this one in San Francisco, they're trying something different. For a second year in a row, Best Buy is reaching out to the Muslim American community, wishing them a happy Eid al-Adha, the largest holiday of the Muslim calendar, and they may be the only national retailer to do so. Analysts call it targeted advertising. In these tough economic times, Best Buy is trying to generate new business by testing a new market. Shoppers like Samina Sayed.
I'd be probably more inclined to shop there than another place.
Shoppers who are Muslim American. And they may be onto something, says Professor Reza Aslan.
As an immigrant community, we have the absolute highest levels of education and literacy. As an economic community, we're one of the wealthiest communities in the United States.
And the research backs up his claims. 41% of Muslim Americans have an annual income of $50,000 or greater. 40% have some college education or higher, and another 41% own their own home. And when broken down by religion, Muslims have the largest youth population in the United States, the coveted 18 to 30-year-old consumer. Best Buy reps explain that focus groups and market research is behind much of their strategy, but they also expect their floor staff to do its part.
All our information and customer insights doesn't come from a bunch of transactions that happen in our register. They are, in fact, our own employees telling us, you know, hey, there is a very strong Arab community in this area that we should talk to, or there is a holiday that's coming up that we should also include.
Even small business owners are starting to realize the spending power of American Muslims, making this the ultimate niche market.
Joe Kavanaugh decided to open a slaughterhouse on his own farm with a unique clientele in mind. Part of his business is catering to Muslims who want to buy meat from animals they know have been slaughtered in accordance with the Islamic tradition of halal.
My youngest sister's married to a Kuwaiti Muslim. And we'd talked about, you know, over the years, and there's a lot of, well, we call them backwoods operations in America where people go and get lambs and goats and stuff like that. And I just wanted to do something that I could do for the rest of my life and not have to look over my shoulders and hold my breath when I did it.
The backwoods operations, as Joe calls them, are illegal in this part of rural Maryland and rarely clean or sanitary. Joe saw an opportunity to build a legally certified slaughterhouse that catered to the Muslim community.
At the American Muslim Consumer Conference held in 2010, hundreds of company executives and associates came together to learn from one another and strive to understand the true needs of the Muslim community, as well as develop ways to reach out to this seemingly untapped market.
So we have three takeaways that I want to leave you with on the halal industry in the U.S. in terms of the American Muslim Ummah. First of all, think about this. In Europe, in the EEC countries alone, as you can see by this chart, in the last 10 years, just on the protein side, halal sales have gone from very small, less than 300 million, to $20 billion, just in halal protein sales in the EEC countries. And secondly, look at just one company, Nestle, which has gone from less than $1 billion in sales to almost $6 billion in sales in halal, and $3 billion of that growth in the last 18 months. Now, in my entire career, I don't know of a single company in the food business that grew $3 billion in 1 year in just one sector. It's unprecedented. And lastly, I want to leave you with the fact that right now, you're looking at the opportunity in America being much, much bigger. The American Muslim Ummah is phenomenal. You're looking at 8 million American Muslims currently, growing to 15 million, mashallah, over the next 10 or 15 years. That's astounding. This is a much wealthier demographic than the Muslims in France or in England or anywhere in Europe. They're much more educated. Also, they have a food buying power of $200 billion a year. In fact, American Muslims are buying $3 billion of kosher foods a year. That's even more than Jews are buying.
KFC, McDonald's, and Nestle are dominating the worldwide halal market, but a large majority of U.S. locations do not serve Muslim-friendly items. One place where you can find halal chicken McNuggets is in Dearborn, Michigan, with one of the largest Arab and Muslim populations in the U.S. Dearborn became a test subject for McDonald's and for many other mainstream brands in the area, including Walmart, Walgreens, and even IKEA. The sale of Chicken McNuggets at the Dearborn location has more than doubled since they began serving a halal version, though the response is not always as positive. This is a photo of a protester in the UK outside of a McDonald's that recently began serving halal versions of their meat items. This is a great example of the obstacles and struggles companies may face when trying to appeal to the Muslim market. However, the outlook is overwhelmingly positive. Ogilvy Mather Worldwide recently launched their Ogilvy Noor division, the world's first Islamic branding practice.
Hello, my name is Miles Young. I'm CEO of Ogilvy and Mather Worldwide, one of the world's largest communications networks. With over 450 offices in 120 countries, we service a wide range of leading brands both globally and locally. And the quality of our work is based not just on the strength of our global network, but also on our ability to get down deep into consumer understanding and to create insights for our clients. And nowhere is that more important than in the Islamic market. With regards to the Islamic market, numbers talk, and big numbers talk loudly, which is why our clients are becoming more and more interested in it. The Islamic consumer market at 1.8 billion people is undeniably the next important and largely untapped global opportunity for marketeers. The halal business alone is worth $2.1 trillion a year and is growing at $500 billion a year. The American Muslim consumer market alone is worth $170 billion. It's an opportunity for companies to deliver new and existing products in ways that will connect with this large, undervalued, but increasingly important market.